He knew his room was in the old witch house. That, indeed, was why he'd taken it. There was much in the Essex County records about Keziah Mason's trial and what she had admitted under pressure to the court of Oyer and Terminer had fascinated Gilman beyond all reason. She had told Judge Hathorne of lines and curves that could be made to point out directions leading through the walls of space to other spaces beyond, and had implied that such lines and curves were frequently used at certain midnight meetings in the dark valley of the White Stone beyond Meadow Hill and on the unpeopled island in the river. She had spoken also of the black man, of her oath, and of her new secret name of Nahab. Then she had drawn those devices on the walls of a cell and vanished. Gilman believed strange things about Keziah and had felt a queer thrill on learning that her dwelling was still standing after more than 235 years. And he'd heard the hushed Arkham whispers about Keziah's persistent presence, about the irregular human tooth marks left on certain sleepers, about the childish cries heard May Eve and Hallowmas, about the stench often noted in the old house's attic just after those dreaded seasons, and about the small, furry, sharp-toothed thing which haunted the mouldering structure and the town and nuzzled people curiously in the black hours before dawn. He resolved to live in the place at any cost. A room was easy to secure, for the house was unpopular, hard to rent, and long given over to cheap lodgings. Gilman could not have told what expected to find there, but he knew he wanted to be in the building where some circumstance had more or less suddenly given a mediocre old woman of the 17th century an insight into mathematical depths perhaps beyond the utmost modern delvings of Planck, Heisenberg, Einstein, and Lasita. He studied the timber and plaster walls for traces of cryptic designs at every accessible spot where the paper had peeled, and within a week managed to get the eastern attic room where Keziah was held to have practiced her spells. It had been vacant from the first, for no one had ever been willing to stay there for long, but the Polish landlord had grown wary about renting it. Yet nothing whatever happened to Gilman till about the time of the fever. No ghostly Keziah flitted through the sombre halls and chambers. No small, furry thing crept into his dismal eyrie to nuzzle him. And no record of the witch's incantations rewarded his constant search. Sometimes he would take walks through the shadowy tangles of unpaved, musty-smelling lanes where eldritch brown houses of unknown age leaned and tottered and leered mockingly through narrow, small-paned windows. Here he knew strange things had happened once, and there was a faint suggestion that behind the surface that everything of that monstrous past might not, at least in the darkest, narrowest and most intricately crooked alleys, have utterly perished.